Hey everyone, before I get started, I just want to remind you that if you like my content, hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and then join the Militia Man and Crew Patreon community by clicking the link in the caption. Good evening everybody, Militia Man and Crew. I just want to say hello, happy Monday, and I hope everybody had a great weekend, and I sure did. And I just want everybody to know that we still do what we do with Militia Man and Crew pretty much on a daily basis. We've got the crew members, we got Super Samson, we have our moderator Gigi, we have others that come in, many people in our Discord chat room and our Patreon platform. And the fun thing about that is a lot of those folks appreciate the fact that they get this data first. And what I mean by that is that it's a lot of hard work. It takes many hours of collection of data of people on different parts of the world giving information. So always getting it out, to others at the same time is it's too difficult sometimes. And so what we're going to do is going to focus in on those of you viewers. You might just get this a little bit late if you're on YouTube, but hey, still get the free information. And happy Monday, everybody. And I will jump in and we'll talk about one of these articles that is called "The Planning Ministry is Discussing with Sectoral Ministries the Mechanisms for Proposing Financing Projects with the World Bank Loans." What I like about this is that they're talking about mechanisms for proposing projects and financing them through the World Bank loans. And who are these people that they're talking about? Well, they're talking about the ministries of construction, housing, municipalities and public works, water resources, agriculture, environment, education, in addition to the Baghdad municipality. Basically, what is this about? It says these projects will be presented and approved, that's the key word, approved, during the coming period in coordination with the World Bank in preparation for their inclusion into the general budget law for next year. Well, we'll see how that works out because we have to resolve the 23-24 and then the budget tables for the final portion of 2025. So if they're meeting in 2026, there's got to be some things done before that, but if the World Bank is at that stage where they are confident to get this ball rolling and to do loans and prepare for those for 2026, obviously that's kind of an indicator. I hope you guys see it like I do anyway. There's another article that's out called "The Foreign Partners Are Not a Requirement." The central bank governor explains the importance of the banking reform plan. So we talked about in my last video about the things that Al-Alaq and others have been working on, which is this plan. And I believe that this article is Al-Alaq coming out giving reassurances and giving explanation of why he's doing what he's doing and how important it is. It says the governor of the central bank, Al-Alaq, he clarified details of the banking reform plan, particularly regarding the foreign partner and plan objectives. He emphasizes that the foreign partner is not a condition of the reform plan, while noting the banking reform is based on international laws and standards. Everybody's getting on board. He's working to get the banks on board to have compliance with international standards. He says that the banking reform plan is not a surprise, but rather a well thought out plan, and it took more than a year to work on it, in coordination with banks and international bodies. It was agreed upon the need to review the Iraqi banking sector after years of practical experience. He goes on and points out that after the emergence of many problems, an agreement was reached between all parties to adopt a plan that places our banks with international standards and practices and within the framework of the central bank law and the Iraqi banking law. Therefore, the standards are not innovative, but rather stem from the central bank law and international practice standards. So they're in line with each other. It says the goal of these standards is to ensure that the status of banks is stable, secure, and that they have the ability to deal with it externally, and that they are accepted internally and externally. So it sounds to me like they have the ability to deal internally with payments, etc., and externally with payments, cross-border payments. I would assume that's what they're talking about. It's often mentioned that the plan included the inclusion of a foreign partner, which was, I guess they're talking about the United States Treasury, a foreign partner, but they're saying that they have the ability to deal externally and they are accepted internally and externally. So it's often mentioned that the plan included the inclusion of foreign partners, while the plan in all its details did not include this. So it didn't include that. We're talking about diversified ownership by financial institutions and individuals, and these Iraqi institutions are more deserving of participation. So they're talking about the banks having, deserve extra help, sounds to me like, because they're not having to be forced into this situation, I believe. So the plan has also included the establishment of a fund for Iraqis that would allow a number of local shareholders and even citizens to enter into partnerships with banks. He emphasized that bringing in a foreign partner is not prohibited, but it's not a requirement as rumored. We publish all the criteria in detail, and this is not mentioned in them. So it says, after thorough study of the plan and in agreement with international bodies and correspondent banks, we believe that banks that can adhere to these standards and have their dollar transactions lifted and will establish normal relationships with foreign correspondent banks, right? So therefore, the matter is optional, and banks that do not wish to participate in this plan have another option. But they must present alternatives that enable them to be accepted locally and internationally. So the whole goal here is to get the banks to be ready to do international trade. And they can still work locally, and they'll need to, if they choose to, need to be able to do it internationally, but they're going to have to play by the rules, play by the standards, and that's how it goes. But he's pointed out that one of the outcomes of this plan we are working on is to address the situation of deprived banks. If banks are able to adhere to the agreed upon local and international standards, restrictions related to dealing in dollars will be lifted from them. He emphasized that the plan is designed to benefit banks, and those who believe they are unable to implement it should offer themselves for other solutions to address the problems. So there's not that many banks that they're talking about, but they're giving that leniency that we talked about. We talked about it in one of my last 1 or 2 videos, that they offered the leniency, because they want to get everybody, they want all the banks to be a part of this process, because it's going to be a really big thing. It's going to be very profitable for banks. And I think if you guys started studying the ISX and those banks that are in line, and if you have that ability to have a broker to look into it, professional advice to look into it, I would be talking to them. That's my view. So basically, Al-Awlaq is clarifying the plan and giving reassurances to the people. He's working to maintain confidence for them and international investors. He's aligning the banking sector with international standards and compliance. That alignment will show that Iraq is stable and secure. I think we all see a lot of evidence of that anyway. And also that they're capable of international cross-border transactions that are acceptable locally and abroad. Having better dealings with correspondent banks by banks complying with international standards will strengthen their relationships. And basically, what is it doing? It's going to be bringing confidence with reassurances, and that's all a part of the plan, and it also is necessary. There has been some bad press, and Al-Awlaq has been out deflecting that, and I think it's a very good sign, and it supports that he's pushing deeper into integration with the global financial system. I mean, I really believe that that's what that means and what's taking place. Al-Awlaq has been pretty quiet, but he also has been somewhat vocal, but he's very calculated, it seems like, and that he only shows up, he's working behind the scenes, but he shows up when it's really necessary. And I think that's an example of it. We saw him a few days ago, 4 days ago, 3 days ago, having a lot of talk about specific things. And I think that this is a reassurance. And that's part of the education process. It's really important when it comes to a change in the value of a currency, a redenomination, revaluation, apply a real effective exchange rate. All of those things that we've been talking about are part of the process. Education. You know, another thing that's part of the education, sadly, is propaganda. So you have to be very careful of how you read things, because the media really will put out information that makes you feel, how about, the word I'm looking for is doubt, make you feel that you have doubt. But if you see what we've been seeing for the last 3 years since under al-Sudani, and then what you've seen in the last few months, and then the last few weeks, and even in days, and maybe even tonight, you'll have less doubt. And I don't have any doubt anymore. I just know that I believe in my study. I believe that all the data that we have in patreon.com, in our Discord chat room, that everybody that's welcome, everybody that knows that they can get this information early, you'll be able to create an environment that makes you feel a little better, and do your own research and see that there shouldn't be that much doubt. There shouldn't be. Anything can happen though. So anyway, we haven't seen the salaries. We haven't seen the budget schedules. We know that Tape Sammy is going to be talking about that sometime soon, and maybe even tomorrow, but we don't know for sure. But the ultimate thing is that the 23-24 portion of the investment side of the budget, or Article 12 2C, hasn't been exposed yet. And we haven't seen the oil move yet. So we haven't seen those things. We haven't seen back pay for the salaries, etc. yet, have we? No. We know that the operational side of the budget takes care of primarily all the citizens, but there's a component that has not been done, and obviously they have delayed payments, and that has to do with the Kurdistan regional government more so than anything else. But anyway, tomorrow, Tuesday, the cabinet will decide on the release of regional salaries. Regional, not necessarily Baghdad, right? Okay. It says an informed source reported on Monday that the Council of Ministers will decide during the session tomorrow, Tuesday, regarding the release of salaries for employees of the Kurdistan region. Sources confirmed that the regional government will hand over its local revenues to the federal government today or tomorrow. Interesting, I missed that. So in other words, it could have happened today, but it says today or tomorrow. Noting that the region and the federal government have agreed on the first non-oil financial revenues for next September. And that's really cool. That's an eye-opener. Sorry, you guys, I missed that. I like it even more. Says a source in a statement says, after the full agreement between the Ministry of Natural Resources and Kurdistan Regional Government and the Iraqi Ministry of Oil and the signing of this agreement, the oil has become the share of SOMO. I don't know about the translation there, but if they have moved the oil to SOMO, I'm suspecting that's because what they're going to say next. The date for resuming exports remains the responsibility of Baghdad. So if the share became SOMO, they've got the oil to SOMO, it says the date resuming exports remains the responsibility of Baghdad, which is true, and the speed at which it reaches an agreement with the Turkish side. Baghdad was given a draft to study and from the Turkish side, and that was on them. If the Kurdistan region got the oil to Soma and there was a receipt of that, salaries will be paid. Remember that word, receipt. Okay. It's in the articles, by the way. The region's Ministry of Finance will transfer about 120 billion dinars in local revenues to Baghdad, after which the Council of Ministers will decide in its Sunday session to disperse direct employee salaries for June. So salaries for June, but this is the Kurdistan region. So they're going to need the money prior to Sunday to do with this. So from now until then, let's see what happens. That's interesting. But the bottom line is that if that SOMO has been given the oil that's in the agreement, and then the salaries and the oil revenues, etc., are on the table for tomorrow. Fascinating, because if that gets sorted and then they get paid and then the disbursement goes to the Kurdistan region and they want to, I don't know, I'm just going to say this, they want to sandbag for a few days to pay their citizens. Doesn't surprise me. That's if I'm right. I don't know, the cards are in Sudani's hand as I see it, because that's what they're saying, is that it's in his ballpark. Everybody's done what they needed to do. If there's an agreement between al-Sudani and Turkey all around the same time, then it looks like things are happening quite well. And so we just need to see how this plays out. I suspect that all the pressure that's been built up regarding salaries and oils and losses of upwards of about $50 billion, it should get very exciting. $50 billion is a lot of money to lose. That was in the report yesterday or 2 days ago. That's a lot of money. I was saying it was, when they were saying 20, I thought it was in the 30s, and now here they covered me. It's in the 50s. 50, right? Okay, so here's this article that says, what does the cabinet have in store? We're talking about the federal cabinet under al-Sudani. The Democratic Party hints at surprises regarding salaries and oil. Surprises, okay. Kurdistan Democratic Party Karim revealed that there are many surprises awaiting the cabinet's decision on the region's salaries and on their oil file, noting that the salary decision has been postponed from Sunday, the other day, to Tuesday, tomorrow. Karim says federal government sent an oil committee from the SOMO company to the Turkish port of Ceyhan to agree on a mechanism for resuming oil exports. Everybody should be smiling. The federal government sent an oil committee from the SOMO company to the Turkish port of Ceyhan to agree on a mechanism for resuming oils. So they sent it. They say it twice, but it says the committee's visit was to resume the region's oil exports through the port of Ceyhan. But it says, he adds, that the decision will be included in the cabinet's decisions and will be the final decision. All right. It says, regarding expectations regarding this decision, Karim confirms, we have no idea about the government's position or decision, as there may be many surprises in this manner. And I'm like, surprises. Okay. So anyway, it says the Council of Ministers is scheduled to hold a regular session tomorrow, Tuesday, under the chairmanship of Mohammed Shia al-Sudani. So let's see if they have any surprises. Hopefully there's going to be one that makes everybody faint. I think that would be phenomenal, but we'll have to watch out. You know, Tafe Sammy is ready for to expose the budget table soon. She said she was going to do those. Would that be a surprise? At the same time, well, they're all related. The budget schedules, 23-24, being reconciled to get the 2025 budget schedules. Got the World Bank talking about 2026 loans. You see what I'm coming at? I think it's pretty good. Anyway, I look forward to seeing what Super Samson has for us tomorrow morning. I probably will be up early because I think it's going to be time to watch what our investments is doing, and I think everybody should take it pretty seriously. That what they're saying in print should have us, like I said, fairly excited and looking forward to what is tomorrow going to be about. Obviously, we all know that things happen, things change, but the cool part is the pressure, the 50 billion. I think it's important to think about. It's not about just the politics. It's about the citizens, and it's about big money, and that's a fact, in my opinion. So thank you very much for being with us. If you like the content, hit subscribe. Let's see what happens tomorrow. The next day, we'll see what it goes, and we'll go from there. But hit the like button, subscribe, and don't forget, thank you very much for your PayPal, Zelle, and Venmo donations. It's been great. Once again, guys, don't forget to hit that like button if you like this content, subscribe to the channel, or join us at the Militia Man and Crew Patreon community for even more exclusive content. You can also donate to this channel by hitting the links in the banner to help keep this page up and running. Your generous support is greatly appreciated, as always. Much, much appreciated. Thank you so much, and have a great day.